Hey guys, it's Thomas, the Nerdy Yarner. I'm starting a brand new video series teaching knitting, something I try to pick up the last 2 or 3 months. I've only been doing it for about 3 months, and I realized the best way to learn is to teach. In order to teach, you've got to know it really well. So I'm going to start teaching some basics of knitting. We're going to start with a knitting 101. I might not teach it the technical way. I might not teach it the way your aunt taught you, your grandmother taught you, or your grandpa taught you. But I'm going to teach you the way that I learned and the way that works for me. Okay? So if you got questions, leave it in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. It helps me out. This is my first video series ever. So if you have any suggestions, go ahead and let me know. So we're going to start with something super simple. We're going to start with the long tail cast on, and then the next episode we're just going to finish a small swatch project of the knitting and purling and creating what's called the stockinette stitch. But first we're going to start, first things first, we're going to start with the long tail cast on, and to me I found that's the most common cast on that's out there. It's really sturdy, gets a little bit of elasticity, a little bit of give, and it really works on and works for most projects. With the long tail cast on, one of the first things you have to do is you need to create a slip knot. There's a couple different ways of creating a slip knot. I've seen a bunch of different ways out there, and they, fancy techniques and things. Lift your left leg and then wrap around. It's just a lot. So there's a super simple way that I do it. It might not work for you, might work for you, but here's how I do it. So take my yarn. It doesn't really matter which is the working end, which is the tail end. Just that you have your yarn in your hand, okay? Take it and I just twist it over, grab, and pull through. Super simple, okay? It doesn't really matter what technique you twist. Sometimes I grab it this way, make sure it's twisted, and I just grab my yarn and pull through. And then it creates a slip knot. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to teach you a way to do the long tail cast on without even needing to do the slip knot. This is the way I prefer, and it seems to work for everything. So for the long tail cast on, all you're really going to need is one knitting needle. I'm using a larger size knitting needle. This is actually a size 8, and this is a larger worsted yarn. So long tail cast on is super simple. First we're going to do our first cast on plus our slip stitch at the same time. Alright, yeah. Okay? So, what you want to do to do long tail cast on, you want to make sure that the yarn, okay, lays over your thumb and your pointer index finger, okay, with the tail end. This is called the tail end. This is the one that's not attached to anything. It's just kind of hang, okay? And this is your working yarn, your working end, because it's attached to the yarn ball where you're going to pull your yarn from. So make sure that it's hanging over your thumb and it's hanging over your index finger, okay? And then you're going to wrap, and you're going to kind of create this triangle, okay? I generally use my pinky and my ring finger to hold it in place, but your pinky is kind of your anchor, so you're going to create this triangle. Okay, so now for your very first stitch, this is the only time you're going to do this exact technique to create your slip stitch or your slip knot and your first cast on. You're going to do this. So insert your needle underneath this yarn and place your finger on this yarn. Okay, that's what's going to create both your slip knot and your first cast on. So take this finger, place it on the yarn, reach over, and you're going to go underneath this yarn here that goes from your pinky to your thumb. You're going to go underneath it. Okay, so now you picked it up, and now you're going to go from the outside in, so from the outside towards the end, and underneath this here that's on your index finger. You're going to pick it up, and you're going to go through this big hole that we created with our thumb. Okay, and we're just going to let go. And that actually created our, as you can see here, this is my slip knot stitch. So normally we'd have to create a slip knot. And this is my first cast on. So I actually have 2 stitches cast on with 1. Okay, and then continue. You no longer have to hold your thumb on here because now your slip knot and your cast on have got it on. So we're gonna do this about 10 more times to get it on. So I think about a total of 12 stitches for the swatch we're gonna learn how to do. So once again, you take your tip of your needle, you go underneath the yarn that goes from your thumb to your pinky finger. Okay, pick that up. Go from the outside in and underneath, outside in, underneath, and you're going to go back through that hole that we created right here with our thumb. Okay, and that creates 3. Okay, so needle, underneath the yarn between your thumb and your pinky finger, come back around, pick up the yarn that's on your index finger, back through that hole, okay? And we create our stitches on our needle. So now we have 4 stitches. Okay, can y'all see that? 4 stitches. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. If you need to slow down, I'll probably have another a slow version on it after to kind of walk you through it. But here we go. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. One of the biggest things you want to remember here is to make sure you have enough of your tail end, because if you don't have enough of your tail end, you're going to run out and you can't finish your stitch count. And in the next video, next episode, we're going to recover the long tail cast on, and I'm going to teach a quick way to estimate how much tail end you're going to reserve to do your cast on. Okay, so does that make sense? But do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? I'm doing it wrong, I'm breaking some cardinal rule of knitting, go ahead and let me know in the nicest way possible. But let me know. But I'm pretty sure this works for me. It works. Okay, so you have 12 stitches and you can go ahead and begin your project. If you guys have any questions, once again, leave it in the comments. And make sure you like and subscribe this video so I can continue to make some more. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.